Hi, everyone. Welcome to Two Guys Talking Sports. On today's episode, we're going to cover the Masters. Scottie Scheffler wins his second green jacket. We'll talk a little bit about the NBA playoffs that'll start tomorrow. And then we cover a little bit of baseball. Ohtani's been cleared. Braves off to a so-so hot start.
Yeah.
Let's jump into it. The Masters, come and gone. There was no fireworks in this one.
I think there were. It didn't happen when people wanted it to. Like, it happened on between 10 and 12. You know, at one point you had a 4-way tie with Scottie, Ludvig, Colin, and Max, all at 6 under, and they all blew it.
And he ran away with it.
Well, and it not so much ran away with it at the time, but he just didn't mess up on the back nine much. I mean, he did bogey 11.
Yeah.
But then he just went on to birdie 3 or 4 more holes after that.
That's always been the thing with Scottie, though, is he's just so consistent to where if he's playing well, you can almost just bet he's not gonna blow up.
Yeah, and like I said, Colin and Ludvig, I believe, both hit into the water on 11. Max, and I feel bad for Max because the 12th hole just seems so simple, but it's not for these players. It's not there's nothing spectacular in terms of what makes it seem like a difficult hole, but it's just those yardages. I mean, and Max just really got an unlucky bounce because a lot of people hit it back there, and it would sometimes roll back, maybe not onto the green, but enough where you can, have a shot at it. And
there for a while it looked like we were going to be off for a fantastic ending with 4 people being tied, and that's kind of what we were hoping for when we went live yesterday. Was let's get 3 or 4 of them in the running at the very end, make it exciting. But like I said, there for a bit we thought we were going to get that, and then the other 3 just kind of faltered, and Scottie stayed consistent.
Yeah, and when Scottie made a mistake, and we were talking about this yesterday, it's just when you make mistakes on that course, you kind of have to make the right mistakes.
Right.
Like if you mishit it, you're hitting it in the right spot. Or mishitting it in the right spot. On 11, when Ludvig and Colin went left, the play is to go right because it's a long, daunting par 4 hole where even if you hit it 300 yards off the tee box, you still have over 200-yard shot into the green.
Yeah,
and majority of the time, most players aren't getting there in 2, but they're putting it on the right side of that green to have a little chip where they can scramble and make a par. Like I said, Scottie did make a bogey, but he rebounded after that, and just his bogeys didn't snowball into whether pars or more bogeys like it did for some, Ludvig and Colin both birdied, and so did Max. But when they're making those mistakes and Scottie's already up 3 or 4 shots, you got to be able to make up that ground, and that course was playing too tough this week. And Scottie doesn't make that many mistakes.
He doesn't. So congrats to Scottie. Second green jacket in 3 years, and he's about to have his first kid.
He's just been on a dominant run, man.
Yeah.
He, you can't say it's the closest thing to another Tiger run,
right?
But I mean, he's back-to-back Players Champion. I mean, I really, it says something when the worst score of this calendar year is a 72 even par at Augusta.
That's what I'm saying. He's playing very consistent golf right now, and he's just kind of in his zone. Mm-hmm. And as long as he's in there, he's just dominant.
Yeah, and he's probably gonna be the betting favorite on, at least the PGA coming up in a couple months, or next month, excuse me.
I mean, the way he's playing, he's pretty much got to be the betting favorite on just about any major tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you take it one at a time.
Yeah,
but
he could have a few weeks where he's not playing well.
It's really all about how you're playing in there, and and just some courses just fit players well. This is a course that fits him well.
Yeah.
There's not many courses that don't fit him. Rory's just never. I don't think he's ever going to conquer this hill. Not with the play some of the with the way some of these players are nowadays. But still a good payday for three Max Homa, Colin Morikawa, and Tommy Fleetwood all tied for 3rd.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad payday for those.
No, not
those
at
guys.
all. NBA playoffs starting, and we were talking about it off camera. The play-in tournament will start tomorrow, and it is kind of confusing how the play-in works. So basically you have 7 through 10 get into the play-in tournament. 7 and 8 will play each other. The winner of that game automatically gets the 7 seed that will take on the Knicks, and that'll be the Sixers and the Heat. So you have
In the Eastern Conference.
in the Eastern.
Okay.
And then obviously you had the Lakers and Pelicans in the Western Conference that are trying to play to get into Denver. But also, if you lose, if you're the 7 or 8 seed and you lose, you still get another chance to get in because you'll play the winner of 9-10. It's very
This
confusing.
is confusing. Why do they do all this?
I guess they're saying like if you,
It's
it's
money.
money.
It's all TV money.
Because it's what 3 extra games now outside of just your regular, 2 through or 1 through 8.
So are these just one games? These play-in games?
Yeah, so 7 and 8, they'll play one game. If you win that game, you automatically get into the regular playoffs. And then 9 and 10 will play each other. If you're the winner of the 9-10 game, you'll play the loser of the 7-8 game.
So if you're a 9 and 10 seed and you lose,
if you're in the
done.
9-10 seed and you lose, you're out. If you're the 7-8 and you lose, you play the winner of 9-10.
In the NBA playoffs, I feel like they start in April. They go
take
through
forever.
like July.
June. Yeah, it ends in June.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Playoffs take 2 months.
Exactly.
That's insane.
It's because they don't play any back-to-back games. There is a day or 2 in between each game, and each series is best out of 7.
Really?
Yeah.
All of them?
Maybe the first round is best out of 5.
I don't watch the NBA. I may watch. I'm sorry, I'm saying this on a show where we cover sports, but
I'm pretty sure that it's all best of 7s. Let's see.
You ever seen the movie Basketball?
No.
Okay, so like it's the premise of it is they obviously invent the sport, but it's like anybody can play. So they have all these teams in it, and I believe it's Al Michaels and I forgot who the other announcer is, and Bob Costas, I believe, and like they're like on month 7 of the playoffs, and they just seem exhausted. That has to be how it is for the NBA.
Yeah,
I mean that's insane. 2 months for playoffs.
It is very long, and it's just. But again, it's like you said, very much so a money thing in the NBA because, like you said, you're stretching this out for 2 months of play.
There's no way every game is broadcast or has that many viewership. How much has that much viewership?
Honestly, you probably don't get a ton of viewership until you get to the conference finals and then the finals.
This playing game seems stupid to me.
Yeah, they are.
It's like I hate to bring it back to college.
Kind of what it stemmed from was a lot of teams once they knew like I have no chance to get that 8 seed and get into the playoffs. They just started basically tanking. And so now you make it to where these teams, because even the teams that didn't make the play-in, that might be the 11th or 12th seed, they were a game or 2 out of getting in.
But they stink.
Yeah.
It's like expanding the college football playoffs like to 12 teams, and then eventually it's going to go to 16 teams. At some point, or they're wanting to expand the NCAA basketball tournament. It's at some point it kind of waters down earning the right to be there.
Yeah. Obviously, I think that the Celtics probably had the best. That's my team. But, truly this is the best team that they've had in probably the last 5-6 decade, as far as just depth throughout the bench that, they can play, 7, 8, 9 guys during the games and be pretty confident in the guys that are coming in that can play both defense and score.
But doesn't it, like, at least from most years recent, where they've always been good, but when you get into the conference finals or even the semifinals, when you're getting those tough 7-game series, that's usually where they kind of
And the
falter.
thing is like they've run into teams that, speaking of the play-in, and I'm pretty sure that last year that the Heat, when they made their run to the finals, they started out as a play-in team.
Yeah.
And they just got hot, and it's kind of just like NC State did in the NCAA tournament. Is they just got hot at the right time, and
there's it's kind of similar to baseball. There's just teams that are built for these tough 5-7 game series, where on paper the Celtics are the best team.
Yep.
But when you get into the nitty gritty and playing, maybe I know you just said earlier, they don't play back to back.
Right.
But there's just teams that are that can do the 7-game series that are intimidating.
And I think one good thing for the Celtics this year is they locked up the number 1 seed like 3 weeks ago. So they had, and Joe Mazzulla even came out and said, like, you're going to see us do stuff in these next few games that doesn't look normal because we're just going to start working on things that we might get thrown at in the playoffs. And you normally don't get like true reps outside of practice, but it's just you versus you in practice, where they were able to use 3 weeks of legitimate games versus teams that are going to be in the playoffs to try different things. Like they would have Porzingis playing at different spots than he normally would play, just to say like, hey, if we need you to do this in the playoffs, it's not something shocking and brand new. Like you've done it in a game against legit competition. So I think that's been beneficial for them as well. They've also been able to get some rest while doing that. So,
and now
again, if they can't get it done this year, it's just going to be an absolute disappointment.
Are they the clear-cut best team on both sides?
Yeah, I mean, they've had it wrapped up.
Is there a lot separating,
3 weeks.
like, 2, 3, and 4 in the East side?
Let's see. So
the Cavs
the
are the
Celtics finished 64-18 in the 1 seed, and the Knicks won 50 games. So there was a 14-game difference between the Celtics and the Knicks. And then on the opposite side, the number 1 seed, the Oklahoma City Thunder, they won 57 games. So there was like a 7-game difference between the Celtics. And again, the Celtics weren't playing; they were doing different things for the last 10 games, where games that they lost, they probably could have won doing their normal thing. So, I mean, it doesn't, even that, difference in the standings doesn't really show what it could have been.
Do you think this is LeBron's last ride?
No, because his son's coming.
But it's not. I don't think it's confirmed that his son's coming to the NBA.
No, I think
he entered into the transfer portal, and then he also kind of declared for the draft. I think just to get an idea of like maybe what his draft stock would be. But the thing is, I know he had that serious heart issue before his season began this year, but I don't think he's that good.
No.
And
a lot of people have tried to say like the way that he plays is more suited for the NBA. And sure, maybe. But
I mean, he only averaged like 6 points a game at USC.
Yeah, again.
But they're
trying to hype him up to. There's never been a father and son play at the same time.
Yeah. But I mean, LeBron's 36, 37, isn't he? I mean, he's been in the league over 20 years.
Yeah, he's old.
But I feel bad for like his son, because they hype him up because his dad's so good. It's kind of like with Michael Jordan's kids.
Yeah.
None of them ever really panned out in the NBA or even in collegiate basketball.
Right.
But I guess with the way the NBA draft is, outside of like the lottery picks or even 1 through 15, after that it's almost like a crapshoot.
That's why. So that's what I'm saying. Like the Lakers could just say, "Look, it's our 2nd round pick. It's not like we're going to get some superstar in the 2nd round,
and they don't even need a draft, and they can still sign them,
right?
Because there's no.
I honestly think that the only way that he calls it quits after this year is if they make a magical run and win the whole thing.
Yeah,
and he can just go out on a championship. Other than that, I think that they're going to try and get him and his son on the same team, let them play together. And no, I don't think LeBron hasn't been like in the spotlight enough in terms of like the big games here since the bubble. And nobody really even counts that one.
That was a fake change.
Right. So,
I don't think there should be an asterisk when it was COVID, because you didn't really have true road and away games. You're just playing in like a gym with a bunch of TVs with the fans in it. Same thing with MLB baseball. I mean, they played at a neutral site.
Yeah.
And guess what? The Dodgers, I don't even think they've made it outside of when we beat them in the NLCS as with the Braves. They haven't. I mean, the Braves haven't done it either.
Right.
But they haven't been back since then. And they weren't. I don't think they were there before that. I could be wrong.
Put a star by that one. I don't count it, but
if there's no true home or road games, bless you, I think it shouldn't count, because that plays a huge factor in games.
It does. No, I don't think it's LeBron's last ride. I think that he wants to be in the spotlight too much. He wants to make another run at trying to get another championship.
He's not going to.
Not with the way that they have that team set up.
Honestly,
but really the way the team is set up is because of him.
Yeah. I mean, that's what he did in Cleveland. Like, he wants all, like, Anthony Davis, if he could stay healthy, but I mean, it's just, they've got him and one other player, and then it's just then they're surrounded by a bunch of like random role players.
Yeah, when I've watched the Lakers play, they play better basketball without LeBron. they're able to, like, they beat the Celtics earlier this year, and LeBron and AD didn't play, and it was in Boston. And just watching them play without those two, they were able to play like legit like team basketball.
Yeah. But when you have a superstar, and this can go for any level of basketball, like, but when you have somebody of that caliber, you like it's a given you have to like cater or center your team around that person. And Father Time catches up to us at one point in our lives, and he's just not the same anymore.
Obviously, I'm going with the Celtics to win the whole thing, but I think that the Knicks are playing well. Obviously, they're the number 2 seed. Cleveland is a dangerous team with Donovan Mitchell now. The Pacers, they can go on a run too. They've had some games where they light it up.
Are those American flags on your shirt? I've been wanting to ask you since you got here.
It's just little
like a design.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the Bucks, you don't really know with them because Giannis is hurt. And
isn't Doc Rivers their coach?
Yeah. They fired their coach in the middle of the year, and they go and hire a coach that hasn't done anything since 2008.
And, I mean, he just kind of caught lightning in a bottle.
Right.
Like
and he even said it at first when they hired him. He was like, why are they wanting to hire me? But okay.
Well, it sounds like from everything that I see when they hired him, he just seems like a bad coach.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I can't see it, but everything that I see, he's always seems to be blaming his players or somebody else.
He's always done that. And then on the Western side, obviously you got, the Mavericks have.
Do you think
Luka and Kyrie?
Do you think the Lakers make it out of the play-in game?
I think that probably. I mean, it'll be tough. I think that they might lose that first one, but then they'll beat the winner of the Kings and Warriors.
It's crazy the Warriors are in a play-in game.
They were terrible this year, dude. And that team will be what they are and what they were when they've gone on their runs with Draymond and, the Splash Brothers. That's all about to break up. It's just not working anymore.
I think, I don't know what Draymond's contract situation is, but it seems Klay Thompson's not really 100% happy there. No. Maybe. You're always hearing stuff in the on social media and everything that he's not super happy. And they have to be tired of Draymond's antics.
I wouldn't be surprised if Steph tries to make a move and it could be that Steph and LeBron try and team up.
He's coming home to Charlotte.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
It can happen, man.
It could, but I doubt it.
It's coming home to Charlotte.
Obviously, Denver is going to be one of the favorites. They're the 2 seed, but obviously they're the reigning champs. And they still got, one of the best players in the world. So.
But you're seeing, like, at least now, ever since outside of when, like, LeBron, like, you had the big 3 with KG, Ray Allen, and Paul Pierce in Boston. Mm-hmm. LeBron, D. Wade, and Chris Bosh in Miami. People trying to form these super teams don't work out.
No. Because
you've got a bunch of egos involved where they're always the guy.
Right.
And then you come in and you've got 2 other guys that are are just like you, and it just never works out.
Right.
And
that's why, like, the Celtics, they have their one superstar in Jason Tatum, and then you have like some minor stars in like Jaylen Brown and Porzingis and J. Rue Holiday, but they're not like the dominating, and they just play good team basketball.
Yeah.
That's the same thing with like Denver though. It's like they have their star, but they also know how to play good team basketball.
I mean,
sometimes you get that with the Mavericks, but again, you have Luka and Kyrie. Those are 2 like superstars, and sometimes they play well together, and sometimes it's what it is with Kyrie. Sometimes it's a disaster.
Yeah.
So as far as Western Conference, I'm not really as knowledgeable as Eastern because obviously you play more Eastern Conference games watching the Celtics. But obviously I think either Denver, I could see, Dallas making a run. I don't really know a whole lot about OKC other than Giddy or whatever his name is getting in trouble.
I think he was cleared of. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know that story. I know the kind of facts surrounding it, but that's such a tricky. I don't want to get involved in that. But I think he was cleared.
It'll be interesting to see how it goes. Again, these play-in teams, you never know because they can just catch fire.
Yeah.
The problem is like even when you get hot, you got to take a day off in between each game once you get into these series. So.
That was talking NBA.
I'm gonna go Celtics Nuggets in the finals.
And the Celtics to win.
Celtics to win it.
Well, I guess I'll go. I'm gonna switch it up. I'm gonna go with the Knicks beating the Mavericks.
You got the Knicks winning the whole thing.
I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah. It's going to happen.
Just to wrap up some other news, Kentucky. Jeez, what a mess in their coaching hire.
The thing is, it's like and we may catch crap for this, but Kentucky think and they are, but they're not anymore. They're not the Kentucky of the 90s.
Right.
They're not going to go out and get a a Dan Hurley or some of these big name coaches, because when you come to Kentucky, sometimes there's very unrealistic expectations, and what got you to start domination in the 90s and 2000s and maybe early 2010s isn't working anymore. Right. Now you don't have to have like, oh, you're coming to Kentucky, that's all you need to recruit by. Yeah. With NIL and everything now, it's just not the same. And for them to think, oh, we're Kentucky, we're gonna lure away Dan Hurley from UConn after winning back-to-back national championships.
But that's the thing, is like those coaches have done more where they are than what Kentucky's doing. Like, there's no lore to.
But the thing is like, say he comes in and doesn't, say Dan Hurley does come in. I liken Big Blue Nation to the Cowboys, because, like it or not, the fans show up and they travel.
Right.
I mean, with the head coach Mark Pope came from BYU. His introductory press conference. I'm pretty
video
sure
he did was.
I'm pretty sure they sold out Rupp Arena.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he came off a bus with the 1996 national championship team, but they went from like, this is the worst hire of all time, fire the AD, yada yada yada, and then. But then
they're good at making themselves believe.
But then, Rick Pitino was like, I'll donate money for NIL, even though he coaches for another team. You had all these former players backing him up, and then all of a sudden they love him now.
Right.
And I was talking with a friend of mine who's a Kentucky fan. I think they were more perturbed with how it's kind of how people get pissed off with Ray Tanner when there's a coaching searches of how it goes down. But the thing is, it's like it never comes from their mouth. It's just all these reports,
right?
And the thing is that they could have
there
never.
was all these reports that they had been turned down by like 12 coaches.
Yeah, and it may not be the case. I mean, I do think you had to make Dan Hurley say no.
Right.
There's a couple coaches within the college ranks I think you would say no. Billy Donovan would have been stupid to leave the NBA.
Yeah.
Because. Yeah, the team he coaches for is kind of a crapshoot.
Yeah.
But coming into what you have to do in college athletics as a head coach now,
it wasn't going to be any easier.
I would rather get out of coaching than deal with that. But I honestly, I think it's going to be a good hire. I mean, he made the tournament at BYU. He never won a game.
Right.
But he's going to have good resources. He's going to have good resources at Kentucky. He plays a more, I guess you could say, modern game. Mm-hmm. I think it's gonna work out for Kentucky, but it's kind of like it may work out, but there's still teams within the SEC that have just already gotten over that mountain.
Yeah.
And unless they falter, like it's not like Kentucky's gonna,
they're just not gonna be number one again. Right.
I mean, they very well could be.
Right.
But it's not like they've got an easy path to get back there.
Yeah. So new coach for Kentucky. Shohei Ohtani has been cleared, I guess. I mean, they've cleared him, but
I mean,
there will always now, unfortunately for him, whether he had something to do with it or not, there will always be that stigma that's on him now.
Yeah, I mean, the federal documents were pretty damning for his interpreter.
Yeah,
where like, and it sucks. It's like that's one of his like most trusted, I guess you say, confidants.
Right.
It would be like you stealing money from me or vice versa. And I mean, it seems like he has a bad gambling problem.
Right.
It's bad. I think people are wanting him to be in trouble, and then there's like the Ohtani purists who just don't think he does anything wrong.
Right.
I think he was a little naive, and it might be a little different because he's from Japan. Yeah. It's not like so it's probably something where maybe stuff got lost in translation if that ever did happen. But yeah, I think there was something, but I don't think he was 100% guilty.
Yeah.
If anything,
it's good for the MLB.
It's more
naive.
It was more naive and I'm trying to think of the other word.
He was just too trusting, I guess.
Yeah, he just didn't pay attention to it.
The Braves off to a 9-5 start. Offense is just it is what it is with the offense. They're just
it's the same thing every
good.
year since we've won the World Series, where we have this world-class offense, but we've got, a pitching staff that's got just duct tape over it.
Yeah. But here's the thing is, like, coming into the season, you thought, like, the rotation looked like it was going to be stellar. You had Strider coming off of his year, Free coming off his year.
But that's two quality starters. Like, Chris Hill hasn't been healthy fully for a full season. Which he hasn't been
bad since, but here's the thing is, like, you weren't expecting him to be a number one. You were expecting him to be a number 4 starter, which is what he is. It's just the bad thing is you lost your number 1 for the year, and your number 2 has looked like hot garbage until his past start.
Yeah, and with Morton, you never know what you're going to get.
And he's older, so he's one of those where you're looking for him to basically be a number 3 or 4.
He was pitching good yesterday, and then because I watched the highlights after the Masters, and then it was just one inning.
That's always how it has been with him. He'll be lights out, and then he gives you one inning where it just falls off the rails. Yeah. And sometimes it could be like in the 3rd inning, and then he gets it back, but he's already kind of put himself behind, 3 or 4 runs because of one bad inning.
But see, that works in the regular season. But when you're in the playoffs, like it's been the past 2 years, and it sucks because I hate this how they've set up the MLB playoffs where like the 1 seeds get like a week off.
Right.
But it doesn't, and also didn't help that we go play in Philadelphia.
Right.
Where like they are, like we were talking about NBA basketball, they're a team that is built for October.
Right.
That's a tough place to play in the playoffs, and in the playoffs you can't afford to have 2 bad outings from quality pitchers.
Yeah, so hopefully AA gets it fixed.
No, he's not.
And the bad thing is like they just trust the
but there's,
I guess our system, and like those young guys, like if they were good enough to be up and be like, a dominant pit, they would be there. Yeah. You wouldn't have Charlie Morton, you wouldn't have Chris Hill because you would say, I have, Bryce Elder's dominant. We don't need those guys because we have, but the thing is they're not. So you can't rely on that. Like you're going to have to go make a trade. You're going to have to maybe sign someone like Trevor Bauer.
No, there's a reason why nobody has signed him. Outside of his pitching qualities, I would love to have him. Or excuse me, if you're just going off his pitching qualities, I would love to have him. But I don't like his personal stuff outside of like the accusations and everything. But I think he's just too much of a distraction for a team that there's a reason why nobody has signed him. And I think
he'll get signed, but I think it'll be more towards like All-Star break when teams are like, all right, if we're going to make a run, we got to do something now. Yeah. I think that you're going to have teams like the Braves who are going to say, all right, let's see if Elder can do it. Because Elder was very good last year. So to bring him up and let's just
up into the All-Star break.
Yeah, let's just see if he can do it again.
Yeah.
And you have that though. Like you had that with Spencer Strider when his like breakout season was just like he was dominant, and then towards the end they just weren't used to having to go that long of a season.
Yeah. And he was very lucky. Like he was very lucky last year as well with some of his either non-decisions because his offense always bailed him out. But even with going back to Bauer, it's not like it's because of a money issue. Like any team that signs him just has to pay league minimum.
Right.
But it's just the off the field stuff and like him as a person.
He'll get signed, but again, it's going to be teams are going to wait and say like, all right, we got to make a move now. We've tried our minor league guys. They're not cutting it. He'll get signed, but it's not going to be beginning of the season.
No, and
it'll be a All-Star break or later signing.
The Braves already pulled up one of their minor leaguer guys, and he just got trashed.
And I don't understand why they pull him up. Like obviously, Elder has to be like your top end guy in the minors because he was a number 3 for you for an entire year, and he was solid. Yeah, like I said, he kind of faltered towards the end, but he was solid for the most part. Like, why is he not the first choice to bring up?
Yeah,
you also got to think you'll have Ian Anderson coming back this year at some point. If he can be what he was before this injury started, obviously I think that they're trying to like. Again, they're putting Band-Aids on it right now just to see how long they can last to try these different things before they have to go and make a big move.
But he won't, though. That's the thing. Like unless it's a reliever or a field like a
who do the A's have? Do the A's have a good pitcher?
You get Shea Langeliers back.
If the Athletics have a good pitcher, we'll be able to get them for like a bucket of balls and some chewing gum.
Yeah, we'll be like Jackie Moon and trade away our washing machine to get a new pitcher. But the thing is, it's like AA hasn't shown where he will do that unless it's a reliever.
Right.
But I mean,
the only big moves he makes is normally in the offseason, like when he went and got Olsen, when he got Sean Murphy. Those are his bigger moves.
Well, when we won the World Series, we traded for Soler, Jock Peterson.
But even those weren't like, wow, they made that move. It was like a move that everybody was like, I guess, if it worked, and it just worked.
Yeah.
And normally he does. He is, it's not going to be like the big name guy that he goes and gets. It's just like he finds somebody that's like, all right, they got like a 5 ERA here.
Yeah.
But I can go get them and they'll have like a 2.
Yeah.
And it just won't be some big name that you know of.
Yeah.
But he's going to have to do something, or either these minor league guys like an Elder's going to have to step up and.
Yeah. We'll see. It's got a long season.
We'll cover the Braves kind of like this throughout the year.
Yeah.
Just kind of hit them at the end of each episode. So, obviously, they still are first in their division. They're still considered one of the best teams.
9-5.
Yeah, it's just figuring out that pitching because the offense is consistent of what it always is.
Excuse me. Offense is going to be there. They may struggle a few games, but that's going to be rarity.
Exactly. So, all right, we'll see everyone next week.
Thank y'all.